everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm here with a bit of a Q&A because I asked people over on Instagram to ask me some questions about all things Disneyland Paris, and I got about 70 questions, so I'm gonna run through as many of them as possible. I know some of them are duplicates of each other, so hopefully I'll get to answer everything in this video, so it might be quite long, but I'm gonna try get through it as quickly as possible, but also by giving you as much information as possible. Obviously I'm an annual pass holder at Disneyland Paris. Well, I say obviously, I'm an annual pass holder at Disneyland Paris. I have the Infinity annual pass, so I go quite a bit. I've been quite a few times since I became an annual pass holder in May 2018, and I will be going a lot more times this year. And yeah, so I feel like I've got quite a bit of knowledge about the park and the parks, sorry. I'm not like a complete expert and people might disagree with my opinions, but I'm just going to give you my opinions and things that I've learnt since I've been there quite a lot, because I feel like I've learnt a lot, and obviously as I go so much you pick up lots of bits. I feel like I'm rambling already, so I'm just going to get my phone out and go through the questions in order and try to get through as many as possible. There are a lot. I've screenshotted them because I asked this the other day. But yeah, hopefully I can get through all of them. Okay, so the first question I have is best places to eat. So obviously this will depend on your opinion on types of food that you like, but my favourite places to eat at Disneyland Paris, so for like counter service, quick service places, Fuente del Oro in Frontierland is amazing. It's kind of, it's Mexican style food. Delicious. They do vegetable chili, they do loaded nachos at the moment, they do fajitas and other bits. I don't really pay attention to the other bits because I'm a vegetarian and they have meat in, but there's loads of options. I think you get quite a lot of food in there. I love it. I love it so much. Another place that I love to eat is Bella Notte in Fantasyland, which is a pizza restaurant. I don't know what else they serve, if I'm being honest, because I only ever get the cheese pizzas, but it's like Italian style. And it's very similar to Colonel Haiti's, which is in Adventureland. They both sell basically the same food. For sit-down table service restaurants, my favourite places to eat are Agrabah Cafe, which is in Adventureland, which is a buffet all-you-can-eat restaurant. They do loads of great vegan, vegetarian options and also other stuff. It's not too pricey. I can't remember the price, maybe 35 euros, maybe 30, I don't know. It's all-you-can-eat, brilliant. There's loads of tables, although I would recommend booking. Another place that I love to eat is Plaza Gardens. That's what it's called, not Plaza Inn, that's California. Plaza Gardens for breakfast. They do buffet breakfast in there, and it's all you can eat. Last time, we only eaten there once, but when we ate there, I ate so much food and I was full pretty much until about 5 o'clock that evening, and we were there at like 9. And it was good. There was lots of options, and it's also a character meal, so you meet a bunch of different characters. And yeah, I love it. So those are like my favourite places to eat. Some places I haven't actually been to in Disneyland Paris, so I can't necessarily comment, but if you have any questions about restaurants, please feel free to ask me and I'll try my best to give you some advice. How do you talk to characters? What to say? I never know what to say to them. I get so nervous. Okay, so that's a question I get asked a lot, and I understand it is a difficult thing because sometimes it's kind of overwhelming, you're not really sure what to do. My best advice would be, when you are the next person in the queue and you're about to meet them, always say hello to them. Always ask them how they are, you know what I mean? And you'll get a little bit of an interaction then, and then kind of gauge how you're feeling then. I always ask for hugs, just because I love hugs. So I always do that, because that's just an easy thing to ask for. And then depending on the character will depend on what you talk about. With people like the princesses, obviously they will start conversations with you. They're really good in Disneyland Paris, and they'll ask you what your name is and what you've been up to today and like what your favourite things are. And so I think the thing with meeting characters is you only get better by practicing. So when I first started meeting characters, I was just like, hi, and then would just take the picture because I was super awkward. But I think you just have to force yourself to be like, hi, how are you, what's up, you know. I know it's really difficult, but you've got to forget that anyone else is in the queue. It's just you and that character. And when you're in the queue, kind of have a think about maybe what you want to say. Like if it's, say it was Donald and he's in a specific outfit, be like, hi Donald, I love your outfit, it's so cute. And then you can get a little bit of an interaction there. You kind of think about it before. As I've said before, where I get quite anxious, I like to plan in my head what I'm going to say a little bit before, just so then I don't get there and I'm like, because that would be really awkward and nobody wants that. What are some things you wish you knew about DLP before your first trip? So some things I wish that I knew was how different the culture is in the Paris parks to the American parks. So I had only ever been to Florida before I went to Paris for the first time. And so I would say the guests are very different. The way that guests act is very different, and when you first get there it's a bit of a culture shock, because I don't know how to put this politely, some of the guests can be quite rude, whereas I'm British, we're very good at queuing. A lot of people maybe aren't, and that was a bit of a like, whoa, what is this? So that was something definitely to bear in mind. Another thing that I wish I knew was, if you're gonna go eat food at Disneyland Paris, especially in the counter service, like the quick service places, get there early, because the queues build up. So from 12, half 12, whatever, the queues get ridiculous. So if you're gonna buy food from these places, get there for when they open, because they get super busy and then you'll be in a queue for half an hour and it will feel like a waste of time. But yeah, definitely do that, because it's a time saver and it will you will feel very grateful for it. It seems a bit silly to go and eat food at like 11, half 11, but you won't regret it later on in the day. Favourite shop at DLP? Favourite shop? I really like the Disneyland hotel shop, because they normally have pins that other shops don't have, because they've sort of like sold out or whatever. And I really like Harrington's, because they sell loads of pins and it's a really pretty shop. So yeah, Harrington's is on Main Street. So as you go up Main Street, it's on the right. Is it next to the bakery? It's one of the shops on the right. It's quite obvious. I love it. So tips for first timers. Oh gosh, this is so hard. So a tip for a first timer. The thing about the restaurants, that's definitely a tip. It's the same with characters. If you want to meet characters like Peter Pan, Aladdin, characters like that have set meet times, make sure you get there in plenty of time so that you can join the queue, because the queues can get very, very long and you don't want to get there and they say, we've cut the queue off. So make sure you plan which characters that you want to meet. Also with Disneyland Paris, they have a lot of surprise meets out. As it's surprise meets, they're not scheduled anywhere, so you just have to find them. There's loads of different places around the park that they can be. So they can be at the Old Mill, they can be down by Casey Jr. Sometimes they're in the front lot at the Studios Park. So if you watch my vlogs, you've probably seen me meet lots of various characters in various random places. Those are the sort of usual places that characters pop up. You just have to be lucky and walk around and see what you can find, really. Another tip for first timers is, don't worry if you don't get everything done. They are small parks compared to say Florida. There's only 2 parks, and the Studios Park you could do in half a day. But don't worry if you don't get everything done. I think just enjoy yourself. Take in the park, because it is a beautiful park. There's so many little details that are just gorgeous and I love it. So just take in the details, you know, don't rush around too much, you know, keep yourself at a pace. Obviously get things done. There's probably like a list of rides or things that you really want to do, but just enjoy yourself, I think. Least favourite ride. My least favourite ride. My least favourite ride is probably the Storybook boat ride in Fantasyland that we went on in our January trip and got stuck on because it kept breaking down about 4 times. That's probably my least favourite ride. It's a cute ride, but meh. Do you prefer DLP or Disney World? What are your pros and cons for both? I love them both for different reasons. Disneyland Paris has a lot of better rides in my opinion. I think that a lot of the character meets are much better. However, Walt Disney World is obviously bigger and there's more variety of things to do. Obviously they have 2 extra sort of styles of park, like Animal Kingdom and Epcot. And I think the food variety is slightly better over there. Well, not slightly, it's a lot better over there. Paris really need to up their food game, but Paris has a very special place in my heart and it's home. So someone asked, what's the most embarrassing thing that has happened to you in DLP? And I thought about this and it's definitely, I can't remember which trip it was. It might be November or October last year. Me and Lauren were watching the parade in the Infinity spot, and the float with Pansy and Flynn were coming down, and I was like going, oh my god, it's Flynn, like swooning over him. And I guess Flo cast member was walking past, like alongside the floats and everything, and he thought I was waving, and so he kind of went hi, and I was like, I got really confused. It took me 5 seconds or so to realise that he thought this was waving, so I kind of went hello, and then he looked at me really weird, and that was just really embarrassing. And yeah, I wanted the world to swallow me whole, to be honest. Top 3 snacks / meals at DLP. So I love the Dole Whip, it's not a Dole Whip, it's a pineapple float. It's like a Dole Whip float, but it's not Dole, it's like vanilla ice cream with pineapple juice. And you can get it in Adventureland, there's like a little cart. It's obviously not open at the moment because it's too cold, but like in spring, summer, it's open, and I love them so much. I love them. They're really refreshing, it cools you down, just delicious. And second one will be Fuente del Oro, either the nachos or the vegetable chili, because obsessed, absolutely obsessed. Another snack that I really like at Disneyland Paris, they sell a lot of things with Nutella in because it's like huge in France, but I really love the crepes that they sell. I think they mainly sell them on Main Street, the little carts down there, but they're literally like a crepe filled with Nutella, and they are so good. I haven't had one in ages, and now I really want one. I just love crepes and Nutella, just so good. Tips for DLP on a budget when you are like me planning to get an AP. So having an AP is very helpful anyway, because you can get discounts on hotels, merchandise and food, so that really helps with saving money depending on which AP you're going to get. I always book my trips separately. I don't book through a travel agent, so look at the different options for you. Look at flying, look at the Eurostar, look at the Eurotunnel, look at the ferries, so like driving. Just look at your options, figure out what would be the cheapest and best option for you, because there are lots of different ways to get there. Also sometimes look at getting a Eurostar into actual Paris, like Gare du Nord, and then getting a train to Disneyland, because sometimes that's cheaper. Also, if you're looking to do it on a budget, don't look at staying at a Disneyland Paris hotel, because even Santa Fe, which is like the cheapest hotel, is super expensive unless you get like a really good deal or like a really good offer. There are so many offsite hotels near Disneyland Paris. Some of them are walkable, some of them are like a couple of train stops away. They're all fine. I've stayed at the Ibis Budget before at Val d'Europe. We've stayed at the Kyriad. We've stayed, which isn't the Kyriad anymore actually, we've stayed at the, what's it called, High Park, which we stayed at last trip, which was brilliant. So look at your options for trip places to stay, definitely. Also, if you want to do it on a budget, bring your own snacks. Bring cereal bars, chocolate bars, crisps, fruit, you know, whatever. Bring your own snacks with you, and then you don't have to buy as much food when you're in the parks, because food can add up in a day. We did that on our last trip, and it was really, really helpful. We had like cereal breakfast bars, so we didn't have to buy breakfast. We bought sandwiches when we were at the train station, so we didn't have to buy lunch, and we only had to buy one meal that day, and it was really, really helpful, and we saved a lot of money. So favourite off-site hotel, I think definitely now it's the High Park, which is about a 20-minute walk from Disneyland Paris. We stayed there in our January trip, so if you haven't watched that vlog, I'll link it up here. Brilliant hotel. It's kind of more like an apartment little block. You've got your own kitchenette, so you can bring food to cook if you don't want to, again, if you don't want to buy food at the parks. And it was super comfortable. It was £70 a night, I believe, for the night we stayed, so £35 each. I mean, that's really cheap. And it was just really convenient and really, really good. I really enjoyed that room. Any experience on doing Disneyland Paris with a disability pass? No, I have not used a disability pass at Disneyland Paris. I know I probably could because of my ME, but I haven't experienced that yet, and maybe it's something I'm going to try look into in the future, but I don't have any actual experience. I have friends who have used them and they are very handy. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure there are two styles of disability passes. There is the orange pass and the green pass. So with the green pass, I believe you have to have some sort of proper disability badge to prove that you are considered disabled. And then with the orange pass, that kind of counts as lots of like cognitive things like anxiety, different reasons why you wouldn't be able to queue for more than 20 minutes or something. I know with lots of them you will get a return time to come back, and then you get to kind of skip the queue, but you go away. And I don't really know how much it works. All I would say is, if you do have one of those passes and you want to meet characters such as Aladdin, Winnie the Pooh, you know, they have certain number of slots for their sets, so get there early to get your slot, otherwise you won't be able to meet them. So it's not even, you're not guaranteed to meet the characters with that. So the next one I've got is, what's the best way to book for restaurants and any recommendations? So I've given a couple of my recommendations previously. The best way to book, there's a website on Disneyland Paris that you can book through. I think I'm going to link it down below, where you can book and you can find all the restaurants. I can't remember how many days out you can book. Is it 30 or 60? I can't remember, but I know Plaza Inn you can only book 3 days prior to when you want to dine there. So that's a little bit frustrating. But I'll leave the link for the restaurants and you can have a look and figure out which ones you can book online. A couple more recommendations that I do have for bookable restaurants are Chez de Remy. Is that what it's called? Chez Remy? Chez Remy. Chez Remy in the Studios Park. It's in the Ratatouille area of the park. It is a gorgeous little restaurant and you feel like you've shrunk down to the size of a rat, and I loved it. I really loved it. We had a seat right by the Ratatouille ride so we could see people getting on it. It was really cute. We had a really good experience and I definitely would recommend that place. Another restaurant I would recommend is Auberge, which is in Fantasyland. It's a princess restaurant. We went for lunch last year for my birthday and we met Ariel, Rapunzel, Snow White and Cinderella. It's a really lovely restaurant, although it is very expensive. So if you are going to do it, maybe think about it before. I think it's 99 euros. Me and Lauren had a really good experience there, so I would recommend it, but definitely look at the menu before you think about going, just to check that there's food that you actually like, because it's kind of fancy food. But that really filled me up. It was 3 courses, it was delicious, and I definitely recommend that if that's something that you're interested in. So the next question is, how come you don't watch Illuminations? So Illuminations is the nighttime fireworks show in the Disneyland park. And if you watch my vlogs, you'll notice that I never stay for the fireworks. And the reason is, I don't like them. I'm going to put my hands up. I don't enjoy Illuminations very much at all. I think the projections are quite nice, like the fireworks are quite nice, but together as a show, I just don't enjoy it very much. I don't feel very emotional or anything, and I just think it's a bit boring. So that's why I don't watch it. Obviously I know plenty of people that love it. I also know plenty of people that hate it. So I think it's a bit hit and miss. I think also because I've seen Happily Ever After, every other fireworks show has to reach that bar and it just doesn't. And I know Disney Dreams, which was before Illuminations, was much better, and unfortunately I never got to see that, which I'm quite upset about. But I don't like Illuminations, and maybe on a trip in the future I will give it another try, but at the moment it just doesn't do anything for me. What's the most disappointing part of Disneyland Paris that you don't go to? So I wouldn't say it's disappointing, but at the moment the Studios Park is very much lacking in things to do. There are some brilliant rides over there. They've got Crush's Coaster, there's the Ratatouille ride, there's the Toy Story Playland. But because Rock and Roller Coaster's closed, I'm not a fan of Tower of Terror, and lots of it is currently under construction. There's just not a lot going on there for me. At the moment it's Star Wars Season of the Force, so they've got all the shows and different character meets and all this other stuff, so that is good. But when the Studios Park is actually finished, I think it will be fantastic. But at the moment, it's just a bit meh for me. Like, I don't spend very much time in the Studios Park, if you've probably noticed. So yeah, I do like a lot of the rides and I do like the Studios Park, but it's just, I don't rush over there, to be honest. Is Disneyland Paris something you could do in one day, or would you recommend multiple days? So I definitely think you could do Disneyland Paris in a day. I think it would be a squeeze, and it obviously depends on how busy the park is, because if it's super busy you're not going to get a lot done. But you could probably do a lot of the big rides in a day. I mean, it depends what you're there to do. If you want to meet characters and do rides and see shows, parades, then no. But I think you could do it in a day. I've done it in a day before, like in 2016 myself and Lauren went for a day. We didn't really do a lot, I kind of just enjoyed being there. I think I'd recommend 3 days. I'd say your first day, do the Disneyland park, get all the rides and stuff done, whatever over there, watch the parade. Second day, go do the Studios park, and I think basically you'd be done by like 2 o'clock. Do the Studios park, and then on the third day, jump between the two, redo anything you love and anything you might have missed. I feel like that's probably my recommendation, although I think two days would probably be enough. But you could do it in 1 if you wanted. Best spot to watch the parade and to watch the new Frozen Celebration one. So I have a few favourite spots to watch the parade. One of them is the Infinity Annual Pass holder area, which obviously you can only get into if you're an AP holder and you've booked it in advance. So that's not an option for everyone, but I love that spot. It's really good to watch the parade. I love watching it near Bella Notte, so outside Bella Notte when it comes from Small World, because you watch it right at the beginning and then you can kind of go off before it gets to the end, which is really, really good. Another place that I really love watching it, I did this in our October trip, is watching it right by the end where it goes back in, so at the end of Main Street. I loved watching it from there. It was just a really nice spot because the road's quite narrow, the floats are quite close, so you can see the characters really well and get good interactions, and then yeah, I really liked it. So there are like my 3 favourite spots. With the Frozen Celebration one, it's not really that busy to watch the actual parade, so anywhere. I would also recommend going to see the show in the Central Plaza, just because it's sweet, but I don't think you need to watch it more than once really. I think anywhere with the new Frozen one, because it's quite a small float, but again, probably when it comes out by Small World, that's probably a really good place because that's where it starts and then it goes back into Small World afterwards. What's the best DLP hotel that you've been to? So I've only stayed at 2 Disneyland Paris hotels. One was Sequoia Lodge for 1 night and the other was Santa Fe for 2 nights. So I loved both hotels. Sequoia was more expensive, and actually I think my favourite was Santa Fe, which might be a weird opinion, but the room that we had in Santa Fe was really nice. We were in a really nice area, it was quiet, it was roomy, it was comfortable, everything. Sequoia Lodge was lovely, like the actual hotel, beautiful. Our room was a little bit dated and there was only 1 plug in the whole room, which isn't good when there's more than 1 person and you have phones and cameras and hair dryers and everything. It just wasn't great, whereas Santa Fe had at least 3 or 4. And that kind of bummed me out because I was like, we paid more money and didn't get as many plugs. It just seemed silly. So I think Santa Fe is my favourite out of those 2. Obviously I haven't stayed at all of them, so I can't really comment, but I would love to stay at a lot of the others. I really want to stay at Cheyenne because it looks really, really cute. And one day the Disneyland Hotel, which would be an absolute dream to stay there because it's just beautiful. So what was your best experience with a cast member? Now this is a really good question, and first of all I just want to say that I have had so many amazing experiences with Disneyland Paris cast members, and I don't think a lot of them get enough credit. People are quite harsh about how some of them act, and don't get me wrong, I'm sure there are some that aren't always the friendliest, but you kind of forget that they are doing their job and they might not be having a great day, and yes, they're in the most magical place on earth, but they might be dealing with really rude people, and we need to like appreciate that they don't get paid a lot of money for what they do. So I just want to send some love to the DLP cast members. Best experience with a cast member. See, that's really difficult because I've had so many fun ones. A lot of the ones that are the really good ones that I've had are when we've been meeting characters and they've just made the character meet 10 times more fun. So if you watch my recent Disneyland Paris vlog series, myself and Lauren went to meet Rapunzel and Flynn, and the cast member with them started singing happy birthday to Lauren, and it was just the funniest thing ever. And I don't know, it just made it so much more funny and like magical and everything. I think it's really hard to pinpoint one exact moment because there's just been so many great ones. Is the Infinity Pass worth it? I think in short, yes. If you're gonna go lots of times, I think it's definitely worth it. So the reason Lauren and I got the Infinity was because you can go every single day of the year, and that is good for being able to go on at any time of year, and you get a bigger discount. The Magic Plus is the annual pass below the Infinity, and it is how much cheaper is that? 100 euros cheaper, maybe a bit more. It's quite a bit cheaper than the Infinity, and it's 350 days a year. You don't get as big of a discount, but it's still a very good discount. If the Infinity seems a bit not worth it for you, I think the Magic Plus definitely is. So if you don't want to spend, I think it's 450 euros at the moment for the Infinity. That's quite a big amount of money. I still think it's very worth it if you're going to go on lots and lots of trips. But have a look and kind of compare the Infinity benefits with the Magic Plus, and just have a play and see which is worth it. You know, if you spend a lot of money on merchandise, having that extra discount might be worth it. But actually at the end of the day, you might think, no, I'll save the money and get the Magic Plus and still be able to go basically every day of the year. Best websites to book a trip. So I've never booked a package with Disneyland Paris, so I don't really know where even to start. Normally, if I'm booking offsite hotels, I use booking.com because you can prepay, ignore me, you can either pay up front on the website, which is good, or you can wait and pay when you get to the hotel, so you don't have to worry about paying out straight away. So you can, you know, say your trip's in 3 months, you have 3 months to save for that hotel. I do normally book my trips separately, it's just easier, and a lot of the time it comes out cheaper because I don't need to book tickets. I use the Eurostar website directly, simple, easy, or the app, easy peasy. I'm not sure the best place to buy Disneyland Paris tickets because I haven't bought a Disneyland Paris ticket in a very long time. So if anyone has any suggestions of the best places, please leave a comment down below. I'm pretty sure places like attraction tickets do Disneyland Paris day tickets and 3-day tickets and things like that, but I could be very, very wrong. What are must-do things for a first time Disney visit with only a day or two to spend there? If you're a big fan of rides, I would definitely say Hyperspace Mountain, Big Thunder Mountain, Crush's Coaster, Phantom Manor, and probably Ratatouille because that's a very popular ride. So I think there are like the 5 rides I'd say definitely get done. I'd always say watch the parade, it's so much fun. I don't like the fireworks, I know I've just said that, but that's probably a nice thing to do if you're only there, you know, for the first time and you're only there for a few days. Watch the Illuminations fireworks. Also, a very good thing I would say is if you've never been to Disneyland Paris, try and go into Sleeping Beauty Castle and go exploring, because you can walk through the castle. There's a couple of shops in there. You can also walk up through the castle. There's some really gorgeous stained glass windows in there and little bits and bobs, I can't exactly remember, but you can walk up in the castle. Then you can also go outside and have a fantastic view of Fantasyland from the castle. It's super pretty. Then you could also, when you come out of the castle, when you go up to the castle, to the left hand side, you can go underneath the castle and see the dragon, which is just fantastic. It's so much fun. I definitely recommend doing that. What is the best way to get from Charles de Gaulle to Disney and the best way to go into Paris? So from Charles de Gaulle Airport, you can get the TGV, which is a super fast train which takes 8 or 9 minutes from the airport straight to Disneyland Paris, and then you come out of the train station and Disneyland Paris is right there. That's probably the best way. Although if there is more than 2 of you, it might actually be cheaper to get a taxi, but it will also take a lot longer. So it depends on how many people you're with. But definitely the TGV trains, you can book that online on the SNCF website, I think. So what you have to do is check when your plane is going, the flight is going to land, and then book a train time that is going to mean you've got enough time to get through the airport, get your bags, you know, go through security, get to the train station, and then you get on the train and it takes you straight there. So that's definitely the best way to get there. The best way to go into Paris is probably on the trains. There are RER trains from Marne-la-Vallée, which is the train station at Disney, and they take you straight into central Paris. I believe, is it the RER-A? I could be really wrong, I haven't gone into central Paris in such a long time, but I believe it's the RER-A train that takes you there, and it takes 45 minutes, an hour to get into Paris. I could be wrong, but I think that's how you do it. Can you do a video about your annual pass and if it's worth it and the money you've saved? I couldn't fit please on the end of my question before. Love you. Love you too. It's something I could do if people are interested in me talking about the benefits of my Infinity Annual Pass, because it has been an absolute lifesaver for me and for Lauren. We renewed it last year, so mine lasts until October this year, and I think if it wasn't worth it I wouldn't have renewed it. So I could definitely do a video just on the annual pass if people are interested, so let me know if that's something that you would like to see. Do they have much veggie or vegan food? Veggie, yes. I mean, it's not loads. Most restaurants it's one option and that's it, so if you don't like it you're kind of screwed. Vegan, honestly, no. At the moment the options for vegans at Disneyland Paris are very, very poor. They have, I think they had a vegan falafel recently, which I've had. Very, very nice. I think they're like some of the fries are vegan, but apart from that I cannot think of places that have lots of vegan options. The only place that is very good for vegans is Agrabah Cafe. They have so much like vegetables and breads and pittas and all this stuff, loads of vegan options, and it's not just rubbish, like it's not just chips, it's loads of really good options, and they're good at labelling their food from what I remember. But other than that I can't think of any, so at the moment it's not very good for vegans. I believe they're looking to improve that, but at the moment if you're a vegan it's not great, I'll be honest. Someone said, how do you return to your hotel when you stay to see the fireworks, bus, train, etc.? So that depends where you're staying. If you're staying at a Disney hotel, there are buses that run from Disneyland Paris to whichever hotel you're staying at. They run up, is it an hour or 2 hours after the fireworks end? So you've got plenty of time to get on the bus back afterwards, because obviously there'll be a lot of people trying to get back to their hotel. But it does get very busy and you might end up waiting for a really long time. If you're staying at a Disney hotel though, I would say, if it's possible, walk back to your hotel. All of the hotels are walkable. Some are further away than others. I think the furthest Disney hotel is the Cheyenne, but it's still only like a 20-25 minute walk. And you walk through the Disney Village and round the lake, and there are different paths that lead you to the hotels. So I definitely recommend doing that rather than waiting for a bus, because you could be there for ages. If you're staying at one of the Disney partner hotels, I think the only way you're really going to be able to get there is by the buses, or if you get like an Uber. But at that sort of time lots of people are trying to get Ubers. It can get very congested around that area and you might be waiting a really long time. Some of the hotels that I've stayed in before, so like the Ibis Budget at Val d'Europe, you can get the train and it's one stop and that's not normally too busy. Or with places like Hyde Park you can just walk again. So there are lots of different options, but it genuinely depends on which hotel you're staying at. So the next one is, what is the best time of year to go? I've been 4 times and it's always been busy. So it depends what you mean by best. If you mean quietest times, you need to be going in the sort of weeks between seasons. So there's a week between Halloween season ending and the Christmas season starting. That week is always super quiet. So if you're not bothered about seeing seasons or the shows or the different meets, go at that time, because I remember looking at the queue times and it's just like 20 minutes is the longest queue. It's so dead because there's nothing new, it's just regular. Also I believe this week, so it's Saturday the, what day is it? Saturday the 18th today I'm filming this. So a lot of weekdays in January are very, very quiet because there's not too much going on. I mean, I know at the moment it's Season of the Force and Frozen, but it's quite quiet because it's cold. If you want quiet times, avoid weekends, avoid UK half terms and French half terms and any other country in Europe's half terms or school holidays, etc., because then you won't get as many children. Obviously you'll still get people in the parks, but it should be quieter. If you're talking about best time to go, as in best seasons to visit for, Disneyland Paris at Halloween is one of my favourite times. I absolutely love it. I thought it was just brilliant. Last year was brilliant. I do like Christmas at Disneyland Paris, but last year there wasn't too much going on, so it was a bit... I loved the Christmas parade, one of my favourites. There were a few cute character meets, but there wasn't loads going on. But for me, Halloween was fantastic. So if you're talking about best as in best season, I would say Halloween. I briefly touched on this earlier and someone's asked, could you do both parks in one day? Me and my boyfriend are going soon and just going for rides. If you're going just for rides, you could definitely do the parks in just one day, but as I said, it does depend on what day of the week it is and how busy, like crowd levels. If you're going on a weekday and it's fairly quiet, I think you could easily do it in a day, getting on all the big rides and then all the other rides that you might want to do. So yeah, I think you could. Okay, and the last question I've got is, what upcoming land are you most excited for? Avengers, Frozen or Star Wars? That's tough. I mean, Star Wars, I don't really know what they're doing for Star Wars in Disneyland Paris. Like, is it going to be a carbon copy of Galaxy's Edge in California / Walt Disney World? Because if it is, then I've seen that, so it's like not, it's exciting, but it's a bit, I've seen that. Probably Avengers Campus, because the Spider-Man ride and the Iron Man like roller coaster that they're doing instead of Rock and Roller Coaster look so cool. I'm super excited for that to be finished. And yeah, and again, Frozen I think will be really good. I don't really know too much about what they're doing with the Frozen land, but I think Avengers Campus, that looks so cool. I love Avengers and Marvel in general, so I think that'll be very, very, very exciting. Okay, so I answered all of the questions that I got, apart from some that were repeats, so I'm very sorry if I missed your question, but hopefully I answered it in other people's questions. I also missed a few questions that weren't actually to do with Disneyland Paris. I don't have a clue how long this video is going to be. It's a lot of rambling and I'm very sorry, but hopefully you found it helpful and I gave you some good advice. I mean, I don't claim to be any sort of expert, but I like sharing the knowledge that I've found. If there's anything else you do want to know about Disneyland Paris in general, leave a comment down below or send me a message on Instagram or something and I will answer as best as I can, because I want to help people have the best trip possible, because yeah, I have such great trips and I want other people to experience that same level that I achieve every time I go. Yeah, but thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed the video. I have no idea when my next video is going up or what it's going to be about, but I really wanted to film this because people have been asking me to do this for the longest time and I just haven't, so I'm very proud of myself that I actually got up and filmed it today. So I will see you all very soon. Please make sure to like and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, because there's always going to be new Disney content for you guys and lots of other exciting things coming up in 2020 and going forward in general. So yeah, I will see you all very soon. Bye!